Hello students, welcome for today's e-learning session of Shri G.M. Donda Primary School SPEI. Standard 7th, Subject Social Science. Students, today we are going to start the new chapter, that is the chapter number 4, Administrative System and Architecture during the Medieval Age. So, let's start with the administrative system during the Rajput age. So students, during the Rajput era, India was not ruled over by one king. India was divided into big and small states, and the extent of each kingdom depended on the king's military powers. Now you have been briefed about the Rajput kings and their dynasties in the previous chapter, right? But in this chapter you will learn about their administrative system, literature, architecture and many other things during that time. So, administrative system. So, after the 7th century, various Rajput dynasties ruled in India. The kingship was hereditary, but it was not compulsory that the eldest son only would always automatically become the next king. The higher apparent, that is the higher authority selected by the king could also be crowned. And in some cases, people and ministers elected the king. So example in this chapter have been given about Kashmir, where King Yashaskara was selected and enthroned by the Brahmin group, and in Gujarat, Kumarpal was selected as the successor by the Council of Ministers. The ministers were appointed to assist the king to administer and manage the kingdom effectively. Yet, at times people became victims of power, that is, the wrong administrative policies of some of the kings. Let's see how administrative system was there in the villages. So village institutions were very important during the medieval period. The panchayat looked after its administration. The head of the panchayat was called Mukhi or Sarpanch, and he was responsible for protecting and delivering justice to the villagers. His words were the final words. Still, in many cases, the Gram Sabha would also give verdict and punish culprits. Even today, at the village level, the Gram Panchayat or the elders of the Panchayat provide guidelines to the people. At that time, land revenue was the main source of income for the kingdom, and each kingdom had different ways of collecting land revenue. Usually, 6th part of the cultivation was taken as the land revenue, but apart from this, some taxes were also levied, such as the octroi, and taxes were collected on the ports. Okay, landlords collected the tax and paid tribute to the kings. Literature. During the Rajput age, there was a lot of religious writing as well as literature of various kinds. Scholars and education received great patronage from kings. Many literary works were composed in different languages like Sanskrit, Prakrit, Tamil, Kannada, Telugu and so on. The table here shows the name of the poet and author on the left side and their works at the right side. Now, architecture. So how was the architecture? Among the various constructions during the Rajput age, temple construction is noteworthy. The Rajput kings were fond of constructing grand and artistic buildings. Architecture and sculpture of that time is evident from the temple, forts, palaces, lakes, and so on. So students, the example for these architectures are the Khajura Temple in Madhya Pradesh and the Puri Temple of Lord Jagannath are famous for their architecture and sculpture. Also, the Sun Temple of Konark was also built during that time. The Konark Temple was constructed like a shape of chariot driven by sun horses. Among the other sun temples of India are the Martin Temple of Kashmir, and the Modhera Sun Temple of Gujarat, which are famous as prominent feature of the Modhera Temple is that the first rays of the sun fall directly on the idol. The Ellora caves of the Deccan have caves representing three religions, that is Hinduism, Buddhism and Jainism. One among these is the Grand Kailash Temple. The Elephanta caves near Mumbai have a beautiful three-faced sculpture of Lord Shiva. The Meenakshi temple at Madurai is famous all over India. The temples of South India are especially well known for their gateways, which are called as Gopurams. After hearing about the fame of such grand temples, many foreigners came to loot them. So the magnificent Somnath temple of Gujarat was attacked many times. Mahmud Ghazni. Now who was the Mahmud Ghazni? So let's read about that. Though the Rajput age is well known for its valor and sacrifice, it's also saw the construction of many beautiful and imposing buildings. Many foreign invaders invaded India during this period. Mahmud Ghazni, the Sultan of Ghazna, attacked India many times between 1000 CE and 1075 CE. The full form of CE we have already discussed. It is Common Era, which means after the birth of Lord Jesus. In spite of facing problems during the attacks, he continued to plunder India with full force. During one such attack, when Gujarat was under Bhimdev Solanki's rule, he plundered Somnath. Many people from Saurashtra and Gujarat joined Bhimdev Solanki and tried to protect Somnath but failed. Now, change of power at Delhi. Let's see how it would become possible. So, after the demise of Mahmud Ghazni, the leaders of Ghazna started vying for the throne. However, the Rajput kings did not take advantage of this weakness. Meanwhile, Shahabuddin Ghori established his strong rule in Ghazna and decided to attack India. He was not intending to loot India but just only to establish his rule. Here, he decided to attack. But he wasn't successful. He was defeated by Queen Naka Devi of Anhilwad Patan, so he could not forget his defeat from a woman, and therefore he did not attack India for 12 years. Finally, the second time he attacked Delhi. Prithviraj fought bravely, but without any prior preparation or help from the other Rajput kings. With his defeat, Rajput rule came to an end in Delhi. As a result, Shahabuddin established his rule there and extended his kingdom. After Shahabuddin, his slave, who was also his commander, Qutbuddin Aibak, ascended the throne. He was known as the founder of the slave dynasty. With this, Rajput rule came to an end in Delhi. There was a change in the administration and society. In place of valor and sacrifice, people started conspiring against each other for power. And this way, the throne of Delhi was stained with blood. By this, we have come towards the end of today's session. So, complete the work assigned to you in PDF file and go through the link given in that file. Thank you. Have a nice day.